For me, the American dream is just, am I in a better position than my parents were? My mom, she didn't complete the 2nd grade. My dad only completed a high school diploma. I'm doing a lot better than they are. So for me, I am living the American dream because I'm doing so much better than they are, and I know I will be down the road. Both my parents are from Mexico, and I was born in Nogales, Arizona, and then I was raised on the Mexican side because my mother's visa had expired. And at some point, my parents said, you know what, it's hard enough for us to survive here, let alone to jeopardize our children's future. Let's move to the US. And so we moved to Tucson. My mom, she had no papers, so she came in undocumented, sort of bouncing from place to place, trying to make our own living. My mom had just started working, cleaning motel rooms at Motel 6. My father couldn't work. He was pretty sick, pretty ill. So we relied on my mom's income the heaviest on. We're in South Tucson right now. Unfortunately, a lot of people in Tucson do look down on the South Side. And, I have so many stories that I could go into, but, back then there was also a lot of gang violence. So on this side of the bridge, you have, Barrio Libre here. And then on that side, you have Su 13. Across the bridge, you had Barrio Chicano, all right? There's all these turf gangs, but it was one of those things where you keep your head down and you mind your own business. And I remember being on this guy's yard, and the gang members, they're shouting at him, they're shouting at all 3 of them. Luckily, I was hidden, and this old man comes out with a baseball bat. I remember being so frightened, I was shaking, I was on my knees, and I remember just not to startle him, but I took out my hand and I said, and I came out slowly and I said, there are gang members chasing us. My friend's on the other side. And the guy says, don't worry, stay there. At the time, I wasn't really motivated to go to school. I knew college was in my sights. Wasn't sure how I was gonna get there. It wasn't until when I was a sophomore at Pueblo High School. My father at this point had gotten his U.S. citizenship. So he was petitioning her to become a legal permanent resident here in Arizona. We went through the process. We didn't know that there was a law that was passed in '96 that basically would eventually bar my mom for 10 years. And so my mom's visa was denied, her green card was denied, and at that point in time, she was told that she's not coming back to the country. With my mom in Mexico, I became in charge of my siblings. I became basically my dad's caregiver as well. And so my older brother, he joined the U.S. Marines. It was at that point I realized it was a shock, as if someone had just gotten me by my shoulder, shook me and said, Bill, you gotta wake up. Your mom, who's been through so much, crossed into this country, sacrificed, left everything in Mexico for you to be born in the U.S., for you to receive an American education. You have to make the most of it. And you have to let her know that all those sacrifices were not in vain. At that point, I wanted to become the best student that I could be.
So Bill was Mr. Popular here when he was in middle school. He's played every sport. He was the president of the student body. And then, crisis happened the next year when he left here and his mom got deported.
I was over at Pueblo High School. I had met with a cohort of our Lapan kids. And I was walking to my car and he came up to me and he said, Miss Ken. I said, oh, Bill, how are you? I didn't know anything that had happened. He says, I'm really gonna need my Lapan money. And I really need to get into a good school. And I'm just letting you know, when I saw Bill that day at Pueblo High School, something had changed drastically in Bill. And there was a seriousness about him. There was a maturity about him. And Bill did what he needed to do.
I was full on survival mode, trying to keep my head together. And as one of the oldest siblings in my family, I knew that I also, I couldn't frail. I couldn't show any signs of weakness. They were all relying on me to stay strong, right? So it did set me on a different path. I wanted to write things for my family. And the more I sort of studied the issue and got to learn more about it, I soon learned that my family's circumstance was in many ways not unique. It was not atypical. In fact, it was reminiscent of U.S. immigration law. And me seeing the consequences on the ground here in this household, right, with my siblings, right? My little brother waking up at night, crying for his mom. I told myself that day that I was going to become a lawyer, that I was going to go to law school eventually, that I was going to become an immigration lawyer, that I was going to fight for civil rights, for civil liberties, and to prevent this from happening again to other people. I'm attending the University of Oxford. I think in the end, as I look back, all those trips that I've made across the border, right, living across, separated from my mom, I know that if I can get through that, this is a breeze compared to that, right? Yeah, if a 6th or 7th grader were to see this, I want them to know that there are people who believe in you, but what's most important is for you to believe in yourself. To let everyone know that, just because we grew up in the South Side, that doesn't make us any different than you, and we can still accomplish our dreams, fulfill our goals. We can still become your next teachers, engineers, and doctors, the next step.
We must be confident about our own capacity to affect change on whatever level, and remember that each and every gesture has a value in this world.